Hello, dear friends. The divine plan is not a date, but years of development, drop by drop and in secret. Opinion piece. No country for Pusillanimous. Ignorance comes at a high price. The faint-hearted underestimate themselves too much. They don't even know why they are offended. Failure is the lack of faith in oneself. There is a wave of resignations in the making. Hundreds of ships walk in a circle for 12 days. Solar flare could wipe out civilization in 72 hours. Queues at soap kitchens and food theft in the UK. Let's start. The collective events of this timeline are not for the faint-hearted. Pusillanimous is a small-souled person, lacking the courage to make decisions and to face compromising situations. It takes your energy and willpower. You are here for the greatest change on earth and humankind. Ignorance comes at a high price, as we have seen. This world is made for warriors of light who know what they want and how to get it. If you don't know who you are and where you are going and what your mission is, you get nowhere. Lack of faith in yourself is the source of all failures. Envy is the anger of the faint-hearted, according to Antonio de Solis. Hatred is the favorite weapon of the faint-hearted, and anonymity is the shield of cowards, according to Mario Benedetti. Success is not for the faint-hearted because they have too much self-doubt. For the timid and the faint-hearted, everything is possible because he believes it and believes and creates it, said Walt Scott. For him, it is difficult to say what he wants to say, and it is painful to deny what he wants to deny. Contempt is born when the prince is considered unstable, superficial, faint-hearted, and indecisive, said Machiavelli. No hero has the vocation to be a hero, but is forced to do great things by the difficult circumstances of his life. What distinguishes him from others is that once he rolls up his sleeves, forced by necessity, he is willing to do a good job because he doesn't like to leave things half done and doesn't like to botch things. If you want to do a good job, do it yourself. Hercules was not a hero, but he did the jobs he had to do because he had no choice but to correct his previous mistakes. We see faint-hearted Roman emperors like Nero or Caligula, among many others, doing horrible things because of their spiritual sickness, because human vices come from very old. Definition. We are losing our identity as a species because we have become cowardly and irritable beings who do not even know why they are offended. Synonyms for faint-hearted are cowardly, fearful, timid. Antonyms of faint-hearted are brave, courageous, resolute. Dante Alighieri, in the Divine Comedy, places the faint-hearted, the lukewarm, the negligent, and the cowardly in the anteroom of hell, where they would suffer the torture of being devoured by terrible insects. Etymologically, it comes from the Latin word Pusillanimous, which in turn comes from pulsillus, meaning small, plus animus, meaning soul or spirit. It refers, therefore, to the person who has a little spirit, or rather, a rather faint-hearted spirit. A faint-hearted person is someone who does not have sufficient presence of mind or courage to bear or tolerate the misfortunes, hardships that life presents, nor, of course, to try to do great things. It is a weakness, a lack of strength, and above all, of ethical firmness. Pusillanimous is the person who has no self-confidence, who is completely discouraged and dejected to the point that his sadness makes him esteem himself much less than what he deserves, and therefore believes that he is incapable of undertaking great actions, and therefore we cannot say that he is at any time brave, daring, or audacious, but even of carrying out medium or scarcely risky actions. The faint-hearted person underestimates himself too much. He considers himself unworthy of any merit. This indicates that if he underestimates himself more than he should, it is in reality because he either does not know himself, does not know his own potential, which is most common, or he does not have a sufficient well-formed judgment of the reality that surrounds him, and therefore does not undertake those actions that he could carry out and deprives himself of them unnecessarily. Discomfort. Corrigood believes that, in quotes, it seems like a lot of people out there are very discouraged that they won't be rescued by an alien savior race just before humankind destroys itself, or the sun erupts and burns the earth. I have even seen more construct the micronova event as the timing of a rapture type scenario, while others are spreading fear about the solar event, saying it is an extinction level event, neither of which is true. Suffering is the catching up of our karma by cosmic law, but we are seen to weep, wail, and wait for a savior. We have the motivation of the madness of the end times, which is only going to increase our opportunity to straighten out our collective karma. We have many brave people all over the world, but for the most part, humankind are whimpering in a corner in the hope that someone will save them from their own collective karma. This is not the way it works, and those who believe that the end is far off are merely succumbing to their programming and waiting for a savior to fix everything. We are responsible for the current state of the world as a collective. Now is the time for humankind to stand up, write its own history, and show its power over the 1% that has allowed it to rule and create such a horrible karma in its name. If we sit back and wait for the saviors to do our job work, we will end up repeating another endless cosmic cycle to learn these lessons. Helping to gain freedom. At this point in time, almost all of us are an integral part of a living nightmare in many ways. Many have tried to fix the world with good intentions, but failed because they were missing some important parts in their planning, staffing, and execution of their plans. Well-intentioned actions can hurt everyone if you have no idea what you are doing. Don't open the doors to business or flip the switch on a major chance until you are ready. Also, be willing to make restitution for any damage caused by your own mistakes, even if you never intended to do harm. Reset news. Activists call for system change at civil society plenary. Activists, environmental organizations, youth movements such as Fridays for Future, indigenous peoples and communities particularly affected by the crisis, spoke out in Egypt to call for system change and insist that there is no justice without human rights. Xi Jinping invites Italian Prime Minister Meloni to China to join BRICS. BlackRock's people start to leave the White House. Is the ship sinking? Thousands of Twitter workers laid off and no one notices anything about the network's performance. Get ready for the coming destruction of the global monetary system and exposure of crimes against humankind in mid-December, writes Bixwire and Wheeler. The top click left a long time ago and was replaced by actors so as not to frighten the herd and cause unrest. If they had just publicly declared the military law and took to the streets in uniform, people would shout dictatorship, and that would be a nightmare. So instead, they have done everything out of sight on purpose, and they won't show their hand of cards until it's over. They carry out missions in secret, and they won't tell anyone what they are up to until it's over. USA. What happened to the giant red wave that was supposed to crush the Democrats in the midterm elections? Every Republican in the country is blaming everyone else for this disaster, but almost no one is looking in the right place, writes Robert Epstein. The Supreme Court will decide by 23rd November whether to impeach the President, Vice President and Congress for treason. Canada. At the P20 summit, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau notifies Canadians that from now on only government-approved speech will be allowed on the internet and that artificial intelligence will monitor ordinary people. The Trudeau regime says they are offering to pay for euthanasia for people who are, in quotes, too poor to continue living with dignity. Europe. Queues at soap kitchens and food theft in the UK due to high inflation. Fears of a British-style crisis in Spain. Spain's economy is in danger. At least that is what the Bank of Spain is conveying, warning for the risks posed by the combination of two variables, rising interest rates and Spain's high public debt. A polar jet stream brings a train of squalls to Spain. Rain will affect most of the peninsula and the Balearic Islands over the next few days, although temperatures will remain mild until the weekend, when there will be a sharp drop in temperatures and snowfall in most mountain ranges. Sweden confirms sabotage of Nord Stream pipelines after finding traces of explosives. Italy will ask for European funding to link Sicily and the mainland with a bridge. Serbia, Hungary and Austria sign an alliance to combat illegal migration. Russia's stockbrokers are targeted in the biggest cyber attack in history. Russia exports 50 million tons of grain under the Food Pact. Rare earths, the European Union's new industrial battle. The new industrial battle is here. World powers are in a race for rare earths and other critical minerals needed for the transition. These elements are key to electric batteries, wind turbines, and connected devices. Americas. Truckers and indigenous people back Bolsonaro and begin to shut down Brazil, by Richard Abelson. As the Brazilian village continues mass protests against the election result, Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes is moving to close the bank accounts of truckers and businesses and arrest parents who bring their children to protests. Mexico pays tribute to Yuri Kuroshov, the Russian who deciphered the Mayan script. Chile's green hydrogen can help the world make the transition, says Energy Minister. Argentina unknowingly radioactive. Argentina has 3 nuclear power plants in operation that emit radioactivity. This is what the Movimiento Antinuclear de la República Argentina, made up of various NGOs and groups, claims on the basis of information provided by the company that operates the plants, Nucleoeléctrica. Bees sow panic in Uruguay. More than 30 injured. Swarms of bees attacked people in different parts of the Uruguayan city of Melo. More than 30 people were rescued by the medical services, while the local police headquarters was besieged by the insects. The Colombian Congress gives its final approval to Petro's tax reform. Polonia advances a decree that aims to eradicate the use of glyphosate. Arrests of indigenous people denounced after the municipal elections in Nicaragua. Venezuela's oil exports registered minimal income. Venezuelan crude oil profits do not even reach 10% of the usual income. Maduro attributes this sharp fall to the sanctions imposed on the country in 2019 and the global crisis. Curious. Hundreds of sheep walk in a cycle for 12 days straight, and no one knows why. Hundreds of sheep have been walking continuously in a circle for 12 days in the Inner Mongolia region of northern China. The People's Daily reported on 16th November. Earth may regulate its own temperature over millennia. A study by MIT researchers in Science Advances confirms that the planet harbors a stabilizing feedback mechanism that acts over hundreds of thousands of years to drive away extreme weather, keeping global temperatures within a stable, habitable range. A solar flare could wipe out civilization in just 72 hours, say scientists. The biggest solar storm of all, an event that could return humankind to a pre-medieval era with the largest possible technological blackout that would disable everything from the power grid and the internet to any electronic device, rendering digitally stored data useless. It would be a temporary disturbance of the Earth's magnetosphere that could be caused by a solar wind shockwave or a coronal mass ejection that interacts with the Earth's magnetic field. Mars once covered by oceans 300 meters deep. Galactic dust storm enters solar system. The sun's changing magnetic field is set to focus a decade-long storm of galactic dust grains into the inner solar system, including Earth. What effect, if any, this would have on our planet is unknown, but some researchers have speculated that sustained periods of cosmic dust bombardment may be related to ice ages. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.